What's going on, everyone? Sergeant Argerbert here, and today we're reacting to Endsieg, by Germany's final plan to win World War II. 1943 to 1945, by the Armchair Historian, an excellent history channel. Wait, hold on, oh, I'm on my school account, that's why. Yeah. Let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Griffin Johnson, the Armchair Historian. In this episode...
Whoa, isn't that cool? His whole background is animated. Dang. It looks like all three... It looks all 3D too. That is really cool. Wow, dang.
We will attempt to plumb the depths of desperation and fanaticism that were the final days of the Second World War in the panic-stricken minds of both Hitler and his high command. The grinding days of 1943 to 1945 were a delusional period for Germany, a heady cocktail of crushing...
Hold on, am I wearing these? No. Hopefully you guys could hear me that whole time, because I was wearing my headphones the wrong way.
Reality stirred in with ideological blindness, steering an intoxicated Nazi leadership towards ever more extreme measures in their bid for Endsieg,
it's not good.
Ultimate victory. We will look at the dismal situation Nazi Germany faced at the end of the war, and examine the insidious ways that Hitler and his generals planned to achieve their Endsieg, or else to punish what they saw as the cowardly German population that dared to betray their Führer.
Oh, see, this thing is really cool. It literally skips these sponsors. But anyways, guys, so there's a reason why Germany didn't just surrender after it was clear that they were losing. Basically, the Allies made it clear that the Germans are going to have to surrender unconditionally. And plus, they already committed all these, like, atrocities and stuff. And, you know, the Holocaust and doing all that stuff with the Russians. Yeah, so they might as well just fight till the end, because at least there's a tiny chance of winning, which is better than just surrendering and getting like the exact same terms. So yeah, that's the reason why. I got it from that Tick episode. Tick is an amazing YouTube channel, by the way.
It is February 1943. The cracks are beginning to show on the Eastern Front. The Battle of Stalingrad ending with both the Soviets and Nazis battered. But the Soviets can weather the beating. The retreat is draining Germany's oil. The Soviets are draining Germany's manpower. And the privations of war are draining Germany's hope. Joseph Goebbels, infamous minister of propaganda and the man who convinced a nation that millions of innocents just had to die, takes to the podium to sell the German people on the words emblazoned on the banners overhead. Totalkrieg.
Wait, whoa. They're actually using the swastika. I'm actually surprised, because usually they don't use the swastika in their videos. Because the reason why I'm saying this is because I literally made a comment. Like, why are you using the Iron Cross instead of the swastika? That just makes the Iron Cross look bad. And then they were like, oh, YouTube is going to demonetize us. But now they're using the actual swastika, so that's interesting. So, yeah. I wonder why. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, by the way.
Total war.
Oh yeah, actually, okay, I'm sorry for pausing this, but the Armchair Historian actually replied to me. That is so freaking cool. And he told me the reason why they don't use the swastikas. Like, I didn't just get it from a random video. He literally replied to me, so that is pretty epic. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I got I got a reply from a famous person. That's cool. 2000-year culture, everything indeed that makes life worth it. Dang, the production quality of this video is quite amazing. I swear, I get impressed every time I watch, every time I see these videos. Oh. Jeez. That was a pretty cool sounding speech, to be honest. Like, despite the interesting things said in the speech, like, it's, I don't know. It's so it makes it sound so dramatic.
Whether the people were willing to follow or not, Totaler Krieg wouldn't save the Third Reich.
Yeah.
The failure of Operation Fallblau, or Case Blue, was a major contributor to the eventual Axis defeat on the Eastern Front, although many will argue that the invasion of the Soviet Union, Operation Barbarossa, was doomed from the start. Launched in June of 1942, Case Blue was an attempt to simultaneously cut off Soviet access to resupply from the Black Sea and capture the oil fields located in the Caucasus. The oil wells of Baku were of paramount importance, as Germany had exhausted its pre-war petroleum reserves.
Yeah, and also, this plan was so horrible. Watch Tick's video about it. He goes through so much detail about how Case Blue was a complete disaster. The original plan was to cut it off and then attack from the bottom. But it was so bad, they had to do both just so they can get the oil as quickly as possible. And they were so freaking overstretched too. Mostly because of Von Baugh. No, not Von Baugh. Yes, Baugh. No, not Von Baugh. Who was it? Oh my god, I'm losing all my history memory. Oh my god. I've been doing all my focus on ancient Rome. I'm forgetting everything I know about World War II and World War I. Anyways. Von Baugh is like another German general. But anyways.
Yet
that guy, the guy I'm talking about, he wanted them to take Moscow, so he put all the resources towards, like, Army Group Center instead of Army Group South, which made the Germans completely overstretched, which they already were beforehand, which made the plan a complete disaster.
Ironically, the operation designed to address this shortage only exacerbated it, as the marathon drive toward Caucasia and the scorched earth defense by Soviet forces stretched already fragile fuel line.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that the Soviets, like, destroyed all of the fuel supplies before retreating.
Leaving their offensives in the east all but dead in the water. Case Blue culminated in the Battle of Stalingrad, which marked the deepest penetration of Nazi troops into the Soviet Union. But although they inflicted grievous losses on the Red Army, the offensive was ultimately turned back, along with practically all of the momentum on the Eastern Front. Germany went into the Caucasus for oil and triumph, but left with empty tanks and full graveyards. As bad as this situation was, Nazi officials had reason for some confidence. The Allied raid at Dieppe, France, in August of 1942 was an embarrassing failure.
Whoa, what? I haven't heard of this. That's... what?
And a windfall for the German propaganda ministry.
Was this like a mini... D-Day? Oh my god. My brain. I can't. I'm forgetting everything I know about World War II. Oh my god.
Indicating that the Allies lacked the expertise to launch an amphibious invasion of Europe.
Howler, I think. That's his name, right?
The Luftwaffe also regularly inflicted heavy casualties on Allied bomber sorties, giving hope that they could still win the war in the air in the long term. This optimism was strengthened with the knowledge that cutting-edge jet fighters like the ME-216
oh yeah, these are cool. Those are cool.
might enter production within a year. But these dreams became increasingly far-fetched, as Germany's answer to its logistical challenges was the creation of ever more complex Wunderwaffe, or wonder weapons, that
No, it's not. Howler.
created more of the same challenges. V2 rocket systems to rain holy terror on petulant Londoners, STG-44s that would influence modern and...
Oops, what the heck just happened? But yeah, guys, remember that jets need oil, and you don't have oil. Just saying. Wait, what
all
did
of these issues, who suffered both...
What did I? How much did I skip?
Juggling supplies of petrol and synthetic Bolsheviks into dust.
How much did I freaking skip? What the heck?
Holy terror on petulant
Okay, there.
STG-44s that would influence modern assault rifles, mouse tanks to grind the Judeo-Bolsheviks into dust, and other incredible inventions that were largely either too expensive, ineffective, or impractical. Fuel was a constant concern, with the Wehrmacht juggling supplies of petrol and synthetic gas to power its desperate operations. Far more sinisterly, the Germans relied on slave labor from concentration...
Oh, that's his name! Halder! How did I forget his name? I swear.
camp inmates, who suffered both from the malice of their oppressors as well as industrial accidents.
Rude. The heck, man.
All of these issues
Not cool.
saw Albert Speer, Hitler's armaments minister and the man with his hands on the levers of German industry, playing an ever more challenging game of The Floor is Lava Economic Edition. Fritz Reinhardt, state secretary in the German finance ministry, reportedly said, "The contributions that have been allocated to paying off the interest and principal on the national debt must henceforth be covered by current revenues earned from the economic exploitation of the Eastern Territories." This economic exploitation, one of the many schemes designed to remedy Germany's excessive spending, paradoxically worsened the German economic condition, in large part because the scheme was falsely predicated on a quick and decisive military conquest. But Hitler and his advisors hardly concerned themselves with these practical considerations. They had Nazi ideology, which elevated the war.
Yeah, Hitler rather had, like, the most loyal supporters rather than, the smartest. It wasn't really based on merit, it was based on loyalty.
To an apocalyptic struggle between the superior Aryan race and the Untermensch, who stood between them and the mastery of Europe.
Hitler? Kind of sus.
Early success in Poland and France had taught
Just
the
saying.
Nazi Party that shortcomings in
Why do they own Denmark? That's kind of weird.
strategy or logistics could be overcome by raw Germanic prowess, encouraging blind belief in Nazi supremacy and downplaying objective analysis of defeats or strategic blunders. After all, as Hitler said regarding Operation Barbarossa, all the Germans had to do was kick the door in and the entire structure would come crashing down. That they kept having to find more doors to kick was another matter. Even after the failure of Case Blue, Hitler tried to keep the army on an offensive footing, but his plans were constantly postponed.
Ooh.
Meanwhile, Soviet winter counteroffensives made inroads on Nazi-held territory,
Oh, the Battle of Kursk. Oh.
forming a salient around the city of Kursk. With summer approaching, Hitler authorized Operation Citadel, a massive attack on this salient by Army Group Center and Army Group South. What followed is often considered one of the largest tank battles in history. The Luftwaffe is often considered one of the largest.
Yeah, one of the largest. Like, people say, oh, it is the largest. But no, it's not. I think, like, the Battle of Brody or something is bigger, which is fought at the beginning of 1941.
Battles in
Or the beginning of Operation Barbarossa.
history. The Luftwaffe and Panzer divisions exhausting themselves, trying to break through the Soviet defenses and envelop the salient. Yet this salient would ultimately hold, and Operation Citadel represented everything wrong with the German war effort. It was a reactionary move based on vague strategic goals that, even if successful, would merely delay the inevitable.
Oh, jeez. Okay, I don't want to pause on that. We're skipping behind. But listen, the main reason why they failed was because the plans for Operation Citadel were already known by the Soviets. I think it was because, like, they stole the plans off of, like, some guy in a plane. Some German guy in a plane. Yeah, not very good. But, so yeah, by the time the Germans actually attacked, they were extremely well entrenched. Mistake number 2, the Germans decided to wait. Well, reason number 1, number 2 are connected. The Germans decided to wait to get their the Panthers, the new tanks, the Panthers ready, which would postpone the attack. But if they would have done the attack early, the Soviets wouldn't have had time to prepare.
That, even if successful, would merely delay the inevitable.
Jeez, what the heck?
After the failure at Kursk, the German
I know some of that. I know the Nazi soldiers did meth, but jeez, what in the world?
would permanently shift to the defensive. Even so, German morale endured the disaster at Kursk, and the Wehrmacht remained an effective fighting force throughout 1943. This was primarily due to the efforts of men like Walter Model and Albert Kesselring, who effectively transitioned the German army to a defensive posture.
They did a really crappy job at that, though. No, okay. Okay, like, okay, this is what I mean. I didn't mean it. I mean that the freaking Germans decided to use tanks against tanks instead of anti-tank guns against tanks, which was stupid. It cost a lot of money and a lot more lives and a lot of oil.
A series of fortifications constructed along.
I don't mean that their entire thing was a failure. I just meant that one thing.
The Dnieper River, sometimes known as the Ostwall. Despite hurling up to 3 million Soviet soldiers at the Ostwall in August, the Red Army was unable to cross the Dnieper for nearly 3 months. Meanwhile, in the west, the Allied invasion of Italy was brought to a standstill on the Gustav Line in December.
Oh, the Gustav Line, yes.
As winter set in, Hitler hoped that Germany could hold out until the unholy alliance between the capital.
Oh, dang, that is some detail right there. Notice how the city is called Rom instead of Rome. In German, the city is called just R-O-M instead of R-O-M-E. That is some serious detail.
Hitler hoped that Germany and the communist USSR collapsed under its own ideological weight. Unfortunately for Germany, reality finally came knocking on Hitler's door in June of 1944.
Okay, we don't need to see that. Come on.
When the Normandy landings blew through the Atlantic Wall and cost Germany nearly 500,000 casualties,
Ooh.
while Operation
Hitler was actually glad that D-Day happened, because they thought then they could have a decisive moment where they could just, like, kill all their troops, since they're finally on land.
Bagration in the east shattered the Germans' precious battle lines at the cost of around 400,000 men. With Germany's forces being grounded.
Oh yeah, the Allied Air Force was a serious factor against the Germans and the Western Front.
To a pulp by the Soviets, Romania and Bulgaria defected in 1944.
Rude.
The panicked Germans occupied Hungary to prevent their defection, even as the Hungarian Prime Minister begged the Soviets for a separate peace. Though German ferocity delayed the Allied advance, they could not match their superiority in men, materiel, and air power. Hemorrhaging manpower, and with hardly any supplies or economic strength remaining, the Germans had to get creative to replace their mounting losses. In addition to raising 78 Volksgrenadier divisions and moving extant regiments around to create new armies on paper, the Germans made a desperate attempt to augment their forces.
Wait, hold on, I'm gonna read this. The option can visit the Volkssturm Militia, Volksgrenadiers, professional rear echelon soldiers drafted for frontline combat and led by veteran officers and
forces
NCOs.
In the form of the Volkssturm, or People's Storm. On October 18, 1944, Hitler personally ordered that all civilian males aged 16 to 60 join a new force that would continue to protect the Reich. The Volkssturm was not an organ of the Wehrmacht, which Hitler was beginning to see as weak and incompetent, but rather a paramilitary militia controlled by the Nazi Party. Allied intelligence at the time estimated that at full strength, the Volkssturm could have mustered over 13 million fighters to oppose the march to Berlin.
Whoa.
Less than half that number could put up an honest fight.
Oh.
The Volkssturm were initially issued whatever uniforms could be scrounged up, but as the logistical situation deteriorated, their only standard piece of equipment became a black and red armband, identifying them as members of the militia, which led to members fighting in everything from civilian business suits to hand-me-down Imperial German kits from the First World War. The Volkssturm were armed with a hodgepodge of civilian hunting rifles, weapons captured from Allied and Scandinavian countries, and surprisingly ingenious last-ditch weapons. An example of this last category was the Eintausflammenwerfer.
Whoa, what is that?
A portable single-shot flamethrower.
That is cool.
The Eintaus was essentially an oversized aerosol bottle designed to fire a single half-second gout of flame before being discarded, in the same vein as the single-shot Panzerfaust. Such a weapon would have been as simple as point and roast, making it perfect for civilian users. German resistance would not end at the front line, however. Joseph Goebbels launched a massive propaganda push centered around a partisan network, Werwolf, which would, in theory, continue the war even in the event of a German defeat. People the foolish Allies would take for friendly civilians would in fact be hardened fighters, with National Socialism burning in their hearts and ready to transform at any moment into a fighting force to sow discord and strife among the Allies. Nazi partisans would, in reality, carry out or take credit for numerous assassinations and sabotage operations during the final years of the war. But the massive organization Goebbels wrote about was never a serious threat. With Wunderwaffe in hand, the Germans would win the war. Maybe. The Fuhrer realized that only a grand offensive could now conclude the war for Germany favorably.
Oh, this is the Steiner thing, right?
Was where it stood the best chance of success, as action against the Soviets or in Italy would bear little fruit. There was, however, one sector which had historically served the German.
Oh wait, no, this is the Battle of Bulge.
Army well. Hitler, no doubt.
Okay, we're not that far in yet.
Fueled by a sense of 1940 nostalgia.
Okay, before we get into this, I'm gonna stop the video because I don't want it to be too long. We're gonna do part 2 tomorrow. It's already like 24 minutes, so wow. I don't want this video to be like 50 whole minutes. But yeah, thank you all for watching, everyone, and subscribe to the Armchair Historian. Link in the description to the original video, and yeah, goodbye. Hello, everyone. and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to my channel. And, you know, turn on the notification bell thingy. And if you didn't, then make sure to leave a thumbs down. But yeah, that would be greatly appreciated. And while you're at it, go ahead and watch my other videos. They're probably just as good, and if not better than this one right now. Except for my oldest videos, don't watch those. And, you know, subscribe to these people down here, my fellow sergeants. They're other YouTubers that I either know or I have in high regards. Yeah, even my cat agrees. So, thank you for watching, and have a great day.